Hello and welcome to this special broadcast on One India. Joining me today is Nabanita Sircar, a senior journalist all the way from London. And what a place to be here. Nabanita, thank you so much for speaking to One India.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure, Nabanita, because as the world or this part of the world woke up, especially in India, Rishi Sunak had by that time lost the elections, and UK has a new government, has a new prime minister. What factors contributed to Mr. Keir Starmer's Labour Party achieving such a significant majority, winning over 400 seats out of the 650 in UK Parliament, a feat not seen in decades?
Yeah, it's just one seat short since Tony Blair's thumping majority.
Mhm.
And the point is 14 years of the Tory government, COVID, they're partying, all the COVID parties. It's
Mhm.
been a mess. And plus, when and the way there's been chaos within the Tory party, Liz Truss came and completely smashed the economy. I think people were exhausted. They just wanted the Tories out because the amount of corruption that's gone on is, we haven't seen it in UK politics, not at this rate.
Mhm.
And on the other hand, I think what Keir Starmer did was, after Jeremy Corbyn drove the Labour Party back to the center.
Mhm.
So it's it's a new Labour point two. New Labour was during Tony Blair's time. This is New
Mhm.
Labour point two now.
Oh.
So it's more of a centrist party that is in place. It's not right and not
Mhm.
extreme left. So I
Right.
think that was the reason. And people were basically fed up because if you see, although former prime ministers, both Boris Johnson and Theresa May, did not contest from their seats, but they were
Mhm.
Tory strong seats, they've both gone to Liberal Democrats.
Okay, okay, okay. Absolutely.
9 cabinet ministers have lost their election. So you can imagine
Nine.
Tories have been decimated, decimated.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned Liz Truss, Nabanita, and from Boris Johnson to Liz to Rishi Sunak. Over the past 5 years, the impact, how do you see these changing faces? Was there a palpable impact? Was that something that costed them the elections?
Definitely, definitely. There's been infighting. Everybody knows nobody likes anybody within the Tory party.
Okay.
And the extreme right wing, of which Indian origin Suella Braverman, who has unfortunately won her seat, is
Mhm.
another front runner. And so has Priti Patel, who we
Mhm.
know is extremely right wing and very pro BJP in India, if you ask me, because she's been most vocal about it.
Yeah.
They have both won their seats. And Rishi Sunak, it wasn't his fault alone.
Mhm.
I personally feel he didn't have the experience to be a prime minister.
Okay.
He had barely come into UK politics, and too many things happened. Plus, the way he got into office, the Boris
Mhm.
Johnson camp did not like him because he was with Boris Johnson and he tried to blame everything on the previous government when he was chancellor there. So,
Mhm.
it wasn't work. People couldn't trust him. And
Right.
he did not have the personality. I mean, he kept his whole campaign was so silly. He kept saying,
Mhm.
don't give Labour a super majority. They will take away this. They will uh, raise the taxes.
Mhm.
We are
Mhm.
the best people. Even in his conceding speech, and just now he was in front of 10 Downing Street. He's left 10 Downing Street today with his wife standing behind him. Spoke to the
Right.
press. He apologized, but again he says he's given a very good deal to the country and things like that. It hasn't worked, and he should be
Right.
graceful in his loss, in his defeat.
Oh, yeah, I am sorry, is what he said. I mean, that if that is the beginning, then we can expect some more grace there. Nonetheless, Namanita, going back in the past, given that Brexit had played a role in the conservative defeat, how might the Keir Starmer's approach to the EU relations differ from that of Boris Johnson or Rishi Sunak, for that matter?
Significantly, I think President Macron from France was himself in a bad position, but he was one of the first foreign leaders to congratulate Keir Starmer because everybody in Europe is looking for a good relationship, and the way Boris Johnson ill-treated European countries and the way he spoke and behaved, it
Mhm.
was just not done. Although Keir Starmer has said that we're not going to reverse the Brexit decision, but
Okay.
don't forget, yeah, he has said it in the past few days. He's a
Okay.
Remainer, but he said it. But don't forget, this parliament is a bit different because uh, Tories as opposition are in a very poor figure because
Mhm.
they're just about 120 seats.
Yeah.
And what is important is although the extreme right Reform Party has 4 seats, but don't forget the Lib Dems have gained a lot. They are 71 seats.
Okay.
And the Green Party has, I think, 5 or 4 seats. There are independents, there are 5 of them. They're all pro Gaza.
Mhm.
So the equations will be different.
Okay.
Uh, Mr. Keir Starmer might be forced to take a much more lenient stand than what he was saying, but I believe what he was saying was to win the elections because the red wall, as it used to be called, had moved to the Conservatives because they
Okay.
wanted Brexit. And so I think he
Mhm.
wanted to win back those votes. So we'll see once the parliament starts and what he does.
Right, right. Absolutely. I mean, he's the man of the moment. He's the rising sun, I would say. And with such a strong mandate, I mean, his leadership style and politics, if you can compare it with the influential British prime ministers like a Margaret Thatcher or Tony Blair, as we just discussed also, what challenges, in your opinion, Nabanita, do you think Mr. Starmer faces or might face in implementing his agenda now?
One is going to be to restore the faith of the uh, voters,
Okay.
because voters in this country have totally lost faith in politicians
Oh,
because of the lies, etc. He has said that he's going to, I mean, this was during his campaign, he said that he's going to establish this anti corruption commission because of the
mhm.
corruption that have happened in the last government. Plus, his biggest thing will be the economy, getting it back on online with
Right.
everything.
Mhm.
That will be his biggest challenge because the treasury coffers are empty. And how he manages to do that, they say Labour has said that they have kind of figured out where from they work the mathematics, but
Oh,
that will happen only once we see the parliament in action and see what is their plan to do. But I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, and
right.
of course re-establishing relations with the EU.
Reestablishing relations.
And
Yeah.
the interesting part is Keir Starmer has also said that he'll reduce the voting age to 16. So let's see what happens there.
Oh, well, that would be a first.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Namanita, absolutely. When you mentioned about the economy, the dying state coffers, that is something which is domestically is a huge, huge challenge for the incoming prime minister. He said earlier that change begins now, but Ukraine is another matter. What does he mean by this? And what will be his exact foreign policy amid multiple wars going on?
Ukraine, I think both Tories and Labour have been in sync, in
Okay.
agreement.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Israel and Gaza. Now, that is a situation where I think he'll have to reconsider his position, though in his
Okay.
manifesto, in the Labour manifesto, definitely there's been a mention of a two-state solution. There's been
Uh-huh.
a mention of what the UN stand is.
Mhm.
So now we'll have to see because few of his MPs, and they have lost a lot of Muslim votes. Labour has lost a lot of Muslim votes. Don't
Mhm.
forget that. That was a huge vote bank they had. And some of his MPs resigned at the last minute because he wasn't taking a clear stand on the Israel Palestine situation.
Okay.
So I think there has to be a reworking. But America's position, given the way it is, how much of a reworking stand he'll be able to take will again be very interesting. And I'm because the independents that have come in are pro Gaza, so it
Okay.
it will be very interesting.
It's a
Yeah.
tightrope walk then. It's a tightrope walk because whether you continue with the legacy of supporting the US and its cause, or maybe you choose to a line in between. Nabanita, one final question before I let you go. And I'm sure the day is still very young there. A new day, a new dawn has happened, taken place in
I
UK.
haven't slept all night, so
I can imagine. I can. We kept disturbing you also for this quick interview. Thank you so much. One final question: given the huge Indian diaspora that the UK houses, what is Mr. Starmer's view on Narendra Modi, and how do you think this new relationship between India and UK foreign relations, could take a new shape, could change in the days to come?
I think on that count, see, there has been a shift of Indian voters since 2010 towards conservative after when David Cameron was there, and he really made an effort to recruit more Indians into the party, etc. And he promised that you'll have a Indian prime minister very soon, which did happen. And but with Labour, a lot moved out. Although Labour, government when Indians moved here in the 60s and 70s, it was majorly Labour supporters. So the affluent and after BJP Modi, the right wing Hindus moved towards the conservative. But Labour earlier this year, established some, community groups for Indians, etc.
Hmm.
The relationship with India, I think the FTA that Rishi Sunak failed to conclude,
Right.
I think this person is a very pragmatic uh, leader.
Right.
And I have a feeling that this might actually work out in favor of both the UK and India, and he might be able to conclude that FTA. But yes, on issues of human rights violations or something, if India is there, like Rishi Sunak used to just shut up about it, I don't think, because he's been a human rights barrister. And I think there his stand will be a little more strident.
Okay. Okay.
But
That's good.
I don't fear, I mean, a lot of, Indian government officials have asked me in the past that, can you, how is Labour going to be with India? I don't think there's going to be any kind of a staunch thing. The whole concept of Kashmir and all had gone out of the window after Robin Cook. So, and
Yes.
I have been
Yes.
part of that. So I don't think the
Uh-huh.
plebiscite issue and all will come back.
Absolutely. Good to hear that, Namrita, and good to hear from you also on this very fateful day. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Nabanita Sarkar there, all the way from London on the new government that has just been formed in the UK. Nabanita, have a very good day.